They always tell you to pay attention to the little things, like how often she picks up her phone, or how she reacts when you walk into the room. But nobody ever says to check the bank app. Maybe because it's not romantic, or maybe because people just don't want to believe that betrayal can be so itemized. We had a joint account, not because we were married, not because I trusted her with everything. It was just easier. We lived together. She didn't have a job. I covered rent, groceries, insurance. I gave her a card tied to the same account, the digital kind, loaded into her phone. She never asked for much, just a little extra for errands. At first, I didn't care. $30 here, $50 there. Target, Walgreens, gas, normal stuff. She'd say she needed a few things and I'd nod. Sometimes she'd show me the receipts. Sometimes not. I wasn't tracking every dime. That's not love. That's accounting. But one night, I couldn't sleep. Nothing big. Just a feeling. The kind that starts in your chest and climbs into your brain like a splinter. I opened the banking app without thinking. Just instinct. And I saw it. A charge from a liquor store. 42 miles away. At 9:47 p.m. That might sound harmless. A detour. A mistake. But I knew that store. It was in a city she claimed to hate. Said it gave her anxiety. Said she hadn't been there in years. The next charge was from a motel, same city. Same night. $68. Prepaid. No refunds. She told me she had stayed in. I remembered it clearly. She wore sweatpants. We ordered sushi. She kissed me goodnight. I scrolled further. It wasn't the first time. That same motel showed up 3 times in the past 6 weeks. Always a Friday or Saturday. Always after 8 p.m. Always followed by charges from gas stations, liquor stores, or small restaurants. Once there was a charge for room service gratuity. Who the hell tips for room service if they're alone? I didn't say anything. Not then. I closed the app. Let the phone go dark. I laid in bed next to her, listening to the soft rhythm of her breathing. It sounded honest. Everything about her seemed honest in the dark. The next morning I asked how her sleep was. She said great. I started checking the app more often. Patterns appeared. Predictable ones. Every Thursday night, she'd claim she had to visit her aunt. The aunt who didn't own a phone. Who didn't use social media. Who never invited us over. I used to believe it because I didn't care enough not to. But now I saw it for what it was, cover. And the bank didn't lie. Every transaction was a breadcrumb. A map drawn in numbers and timestamps. Gas station receipts. Fast food joints 2 towns over. Small charges that screamed normal until you stacked them up. A $14.80 charge at a convenience store meant snacks. A $4.99 rental charge meant a movie. A $6 parking fee meant she parked somewhere she shouldn't have been. I became fluent in her spending. I knew when she was lying by the radius of her purchases. And she didn't suspect a thing. I never told her I was tracking. That was the beauty of it. I didn't need confrontation. I didn't need drama. I had data. And data doesn't cry or argue or gaslight you at 2 a.m. It just stacks up. Quietly. Relentlessly. I started collecting screenshots. Every transaction. Every inconsistency. I exported PDFs, highlighted timestamps, created folders with dates for names. At some point, it stopped feeling like spying and started feeling like documentation. I became an archivist of my own humiliation. One Friday, she left like clockwork. Same routine. Same smile. Same lie about needing to help her aunt clean out the garage. I said sure, kissed her goodbye, and watched her drive off. She didn't know I had location sharing still active on her phone from months ago. A safety thing we set up after a minor car accident. She never turned it off. I opened the map. Watched the blue dot move. It didn't head toward her aunt's street. It went the other way. Straight to the city she said gave her panic attacks. She stayed at a Days Inn. Booked under her name. I know because I called pretending to be her husband. Said I lost a receipt. The front desk confirmed her check-in. 1 adult. No pets. She stayed there 6 hours. Then came the charges. Pizza. A convenience store. Gas. Everything spaced just enough to seem accidental. Except it wasn't. It was routine. Practiced. That night she came back smelling like someone else's cologne and detergent. Not mine. She made a joke about how tired she was and asked if I'd rub her shoulders. I said yes. She closed her eyes and sighed. I wanted to ask if he was better than me. I wanted to ask if she ever felt guilty. But instead, I counted the freckles on her back and wondered if he had too. She fell asleep in my lap. I added that night's expenses to the spreadsheet. At this point, the lies weren't even creative. They were lazy, recycled. She thought my passiveness was naivety, that my silence meant trust. In reality, I was just giving her rope. And she kept pulling. Somewhere around week 5 of surveillance, I realized I didn't even want the relationship anymore. The trust was gone. The respect evaporated. All that was left was curiosity. I wanted to know how deep the hole went. I wanted to see if she'd bury herself without help. Spoiler, she did. One Sunday, she left her laptop open. She rarely used it. Claimed she hated typing. But there it was, unlocked. Email tab open. Inbox full. I clicked. Nothing explosive. Grocery coupons. A birthday invite. A random ad for a gym she never joined. Then I saw it. A receipt for a lingerie purchase. Date matched one of the motel nights. It was delivered to a P.O. box. Not our apartment. I didn't even know she had a P.O. box. It was under her maiden name. Now I was impressed. I kept digging. Found a few more e-receipts. Small purchases. Always things she never wore around me. A set of heels. A perfume I'd never smelled on her. A silk robe. She was living a whole other life on someone else's time. But on my money. And somehow, I was the third wheel in my own relationship. I stopped thinking of her as my girlfriend. At some point, she just became a subject. Something to observe. A variable in an experiment she didn't know she was part of. Every smile felt fake. Every laugh rehearsed. She was an actress. I was the audience. And the ending had already been written. The funny part is, she still tried to act like we were perfect. Posting photos of our breakfast. Captioning them with things like "best start to the weekend," and tagging me with hearts. I'd be sitting right there, watching her angle the plate just right, waiting for the coffee to cool enough to get the steam in the shot. Then she'd kiss my cheek like she meant it. 15 minutes later, she'd be texting someone else. I knew that because I synced her messages to my laptop. Not something I planned to do. It just happened. Her Apple ID was saved in our shared iPad. One tap, and suddenly her entire message history was mine. That's how I found him. His name was Mike. Generic. Predictable. Like a placeholder name someone forgets to change in a fake story. He was a personal trainer. She met him at the gym I paid for. The gym she always claimed she didn't have time to go to. Her messages to him were gross in a way that made you want to shower after reading them. Emojis. Inside jokes. Complaints about me. Plans for weekends when I was busy. He didn't seem very smart. His spelling was awful. But he had abs, and apparently that was enough. She never mentioned him to me. Not even as a friend. Not even once. That was how carefully she compartmentalized her life. It was surgical. Cold. She said she was going to yoga. She was going to him. And every time I paid for it. His favorite pizza? Charged to our account. The wine he liked. I bought it. The gas she used to get there? Me again. Her entire affair was crowd-funded by the idiot boyfriend too polite to question her errands. I wanted to feel angry. I really did. But mostly I felt numb. Like I was reading someone else's story. Watching a show I already knew the ending to. I started collecting his data too. Screenshots. Instagram posts. Gym check-ins. GPS coordinates. He didn't hide much. He posted shirtless selfies in hotel bathrooms. Ones I recognized. One even had her phone in the background. He captioned it "Weekend Vibes." I captioned it "Exhibit D." I started planning. Not revenge. Not really. Just closure. A clean ending. Something undeniable. I didn't want to yell. I didn't want drama. I wanted precision. I wanted the truth to land so hard she wouldn't even try to deny it. She'd lie. That was a given. But she couldn't lie to numbers. Not to timestamps. Not to screenshots. Not when the bank told the same story I did. Every line item was a betrayal. Every cent was a receipt. And I had all of them. The question was, when do I show her? I started with a folder. Labeled it if she ever asks. Inside, I added everything. Screenshots. PDFs, message threads. GPS maps. Video stills. Her name showed up next to numbers she couldn't explain. Her words next to timestamps that betrayed her. Every file was dated. Tagged. Categorized. It was surgical. Cold. Just like her lies. By then, we barely spoke. She thought we were drifting. That the relationship was fizzling because I worked too much or didn't express myself. She asked if I was okay. I smiled, nodded, said work had been rough. She told me she loved me. I said it back. She never noticed how calculated my voice had become. One evening I came home early. She wasn't expecting me. I walked in, and she jumped like a student caught cheating on a test. Her phone flipped face down in half a second. I just asked if she wanted dinner. She said sure. Said she was watching makeup tutorials. The screen still showed a text preview from Mike. Can't wait for this weekend. Same room. She fumbled to turn it off. Laughed nervously. Said it was spam. I nodded. Made pasta. Then I backed up every file to a hard drive and hid it under the passenger seat of my car. It was almost time. She was planning a weekend away. Told me she needed time to reset. Claimed it was a spa retreat, one her friend recommended, supposedly out in the hills. Yoga, clean food, digital detox. She even printed out the brochure. Said it would be good for her mental health. That she needed space to breathe. I told her I understood. That I supported it. She smiled like I had just given her a gift. She packed a small suitcase. Nothing fancy, just enough for 2 nights. The same suitcase I'd seen in her tagged photos with Mike, long before I knew who he was. She still didn't realize I'd seen them. He posted them to a gym story once. She was blurry in the background, but unmistakable. Same bag. Same red hoodie. I offered to drop her off. She declined. Said the retreat discouraged emotional entanglements. I laughed, told her that was fair. She left at 4 p.m. on a Friday. By 5 p.m., I had checked into a hotel down the street from the one she actually went to. Not a spa. Not even close. Just a highway motel with dim lighting, brown carpet, and weekly rates. Room 118, reserved under her fake last name. I waited. Not for her. For them. At 6:12 p.m. she arrived. He showed up 4 minutes later. They kissed in the parking lot like teenagers. No hesitation. No shame. She was dressed down, hoodie, leggings, hair tied back, like she didn't want to be recognized. She wasn't worried about being caught, because she didn't think I was paying attention. They walked into the motel like they'd done it 100 times. Because they had. I had the receipts to prove it. I didn't follow. I didn't confront. I didn't take photos. I already had everything I needed. Back at my hotel, I set up the presentation. Literally. I brought a projector. Not for theatrics. For clarity. I sent out invitations to a birthday dinner. Said it was something small, just a few friends and family. I told her I wanted to celebrate us. She replied with a heart emoji. Said she loved the idea. Said she'd be back Sunday afternoon and would help decorate. She didn't need to. I took care of everything. Table set for 10. String lights. A playlist she curated months ago. Her favorite wine. Printed menus, just enough to feel real, just enough to sell the lie. She arrived late. Blamed traffic. Hugged her mom. Kissed my cheek. Thanked me for organizing it. She had no idea she was walking into a wake. Dinner was smooth. Laughter, wine, clinking glasses. She told a story about her retreat. Something about a sound bath and vegan sushi. I smiled and nodded. She didn't notice how quiet I had become. How I only answered in short, polite phrases. Then came dessert. I stood up. Tapped a glass. Everyone looked at me. I thanked them for coming. Said I wanted to honor someone special. Someone I'd spent the last few years loving and trusting. Someone who had taught me a lot. I kept it vague. Friendly. Just enough tension to keep her interested. She smiled. Nodded. I picked up the remote. The projector hummed to life. Slide 1. A screenshot of her bank transaction, the motel charge. Slide 2. Another one from the week before. Slide 3. The GPS route from her phone. Slide 4. A message from Mike. Slide 5. A photo of them together, taken from his Instagram before he set it to private. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. The room went silent. Her mom's fork froze midair. One of her friends muttered something, then stopped. She stared at the screen like it was in another language. Mouth slightly open. Pulse visible in her neck. The kind of silence you don't forget. I ended with a title card. This is what you spent my love on. Then I shut the projector off. She stood up too fast, knocking over her wine glass. Tried to speak. Nothing came out. Her hands shook. I handed her a manila envelope. Inside, a copy of the spreadsheet, the screenshots, the receipts. A flash drive with everything backed up. I said nothing. Just walked past her, out the door into the night. No raised voice. No fight. Just the sound of reality crashing behind me. I didn't go back that night. I didn't answer her calls. I didn't read her texts. They came fast at first, then slower, then stopped. I stayed at a friend's place for a week. When I returned, the apartment was clean. Her things were gone. Drawers half empty. The bathroom shelf looked unfamiliar without her products. The place smelled like silence. She left the key on the counter with a sticky note that said, "I'm sorry." That was it. 2 words. No explanations. No denials. No excuses. She knew. I went through the place once, just to see if she'd taken everything. She had, except for a framed photo of us in Chicago, left face down on the nightstand. I didn't flip it over. I threw out the projector, deleted the folder, canceled the joint accounts. I cleaned the apartment the way you clean a wound. Slow. Focused. Not because it hurts, but because it should never hurt again. I never contacted her. Not once. People asked what happened. I told them the truth, but gently. Said things didn't work out. That sometimes love is blind, and sometimes it sees everything and stays quiet just long enough to collect the facts. A few weeks later, I got a message from Mike. Short. Passive-aggressive. Something about being a coward and ruining her life. I didn't reply. She ruined her life just fine on her own. And I was finally free to live mine, eyes open, statements checked.